Welcome to the League of Nerds comic book segment number 76. I'm John Cooney here to talk to you about comics released the 10th of July 2013, beginning as usual with my first five, meaning these are the first 5 books I intend to read this week, and I'll give you a little more depth on them, starting with at number 1, Walking Dead number 112. Carl and Andrea are faced with the unthinkable. Series writer Robert Kirkman explained the evolution of the series to this point, quote, "Well, it's something that's been on the books for a while. It's something that's been on the plan for years and years. You know, I never thought The Walking Dead would last this long, but even in the earliest days of The Walking Dead, I always thought it would be amazing if I could get to the point where there were pockets of civilization that could fight each other for resources, you know? Like telling a story and knowing where it was going to go, that you know, it would be like, oh, these people are hunkered down in the prison trying to find food, and they're traveling a long distance, and oh, they found this place that's actually like a little pocket of civilization. And oh, there's other pockets of civilization, and now they have to face this. I knew the arc, you know, but I didn't know that I would ever get to tell it. And so now that we're at this point, I think there's really some cool stuff coming, and I couldn't be more excited about it." Close quote. At number 2, we've got Uncanny X-Men number 8, School is in Session. Last issue, the Uncanny X-Men saw what can happen with no control over their powers. It cannot happen again. Plus, Cyclops and Magneto finally have it out. Series editor Nick Lowe discussed the recent addition of Dazzler as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Quote, "We're going to see a lot more of what Allison thinks about Cyclops in Uncanny X-Men number 9 especially. But if her previous view of Scott was, I trust that he knows what he's doing, being a leader and not knowing what she was doing changed her point of view on Scott and the leaders in general. She's an experienced hero, which I think people misrepresent a lot. Yes, she was a pop star and has often played for laughs, but she was an X-Men for a long time and has seen and done a lot in her time. Second, as you'll see, there's a certain amount of outreach involved in her role with S.H.I.E.L.D., so it helps that the world knows her in a non-threatening capacity. If we got to do a Dazzler series out of this, I'd be over the moon. It's always the goal. I see her as an X-Men first and foremost. Maybe that's just because Chris Claremont and his co-creators on a lot of those awesome Dazzler stories defined her best for me." Close quote. As far as the other characters, Lowe says, quote, "Brian's kind of in love with the Cuckoos. He's got some great stuff planned for them. Brian is having a great time activating his nerd brain and digging into the nitty-gritty of the X-Men. You'll be seeing a lot more of this moving forward." Close quote. At number 3, we've got Batman number 22. The second chapter of Zero Year delves into Bruce Wayne's past with the Red Hood and his run-ins with aspiring district attorney Harvey Dent. And in the backup story, a secret moment from Bruce's training abroad is revealed for the first time. Series writer Scott Snyder told MTV Geek about an inherent limitation to Zero Year.
Bruce doesn't die. It's the only thing I feel badly I can't tease, because I love in Batman where it's like, is Bruce going to die? And you know he's not, because Batman keeps going, and you know the series will, but here, it's the one tool I don't have in my toolbox, is the suspense of whether he's going to live or not. So it's been a lot of fun sort of working around that and sort of saying, not, is Bruce going to die? But instead, are there things that are going to happen that are going to completely reshape his thinking or destroy things about him that you would be devastated to see taken away?
You can have something happen to him in the story and then it affects him after the story is over, right?
Yeah, and there are plans. I mean, the story that I'm going to do after Zero Year, you know, shows a lot of the reverberations of the story and things that I think you'll find, hopefully, you know, readers will find exciting in terms of not just how it plays out in a plot way, like, oh my god, you know, this character had this terrible thing happen and look, now it's in present day continuity, but also just thematically that there are things that I think will build towards even bigger stories down the line, not to get too vague, but down the line, you know, a year from now and so on, where you'll see things pop up that are set up here, the seeds are sort of planted for really a reshaping of a larger sort of mythology of Gotham.
At number 4, we've got Star Wars number 7. Princess Leia takes the Rebel secret mission to the next level. Playing it safe has gotten them nowhere, and they're running out of resources and time. What's the fastest way to get inside info on the Empire? Have your top pilots get themselves captured. Ryan Kelly, the artist from Brian Wood's local series, joins the Star Wars team. Series artist Ryan Kelly blogged about coming on board, quote, "I'm really excited to be joining the Star Wars team as penciler for 3 issues starting in July. Also, it's great to be working with Brian again, even as our comic Anthem is on temporary hiatus. He's really captured the fun and adventure of the original trilogy in this book. Obviously, it would have been great to do full art, but I opted for pencils only, as it was impossible to do full art while still drawing Saucer Country and all my other projects. but I'm super excited to be working with inker Dan Parsons, who has done plenty of Star Wars work, I do believe. And look at the awesome Migliari cover. I've always liked his work. Anyway, I'm dropping issues number 7 through 9, and I hope you check out the series. I do believe the first trade collection is coming out about the same time as my issue, so you can catch up if you need to. Close quote. And at number 5, we've got Superior Spider-Man number 13, part 3 of No Escape. Superior Spider-Man teams up with the Lizard. Mayor Jameson demands that Spider-Man kill the Spider Slayer. Series writer Dan Slott has warned us about this issue previously. Quote, "There will be a major status quo shift by the end of Superior Spider-Man number 13. Right when you think you know where we're going, when you get to the end of everything played out in this big giant adventure yarn, it's going to be a big shift. And so much of that comes from the fact that Peter Parker is no longer there." Close quote. Rounding out the top 10 at number 6, we've got Astro City number 2. When the Honor Guard charges into battle, they're not alone. They're backed by a crack support staff from researchers to threat assessment teams to hotline switchboard clerks. And when one young woman gets the job offer of a lifetime, it opens the way to a world of wonder and possibilities, and possibly the greatest mistake of her life. The return of the acclaimed series continues with a close-up look at the humans behind the superhumans. At number 7, we've got Peter Panzerfaust number 12, Cry of the Wolf Part 2. An official meeting of top German officials in a nearby town spells trouble for operations in the sticks, but something much worse is about to arrive. At number 8, we've got Young Avengers number 7. 3 months have passed for the Young Avengers. What have they been up to? Fun stuff, I'll bet. The sort of stuff that makes an excellent superhero comic. This is truth with a capital everything. A very important breakfast, a new Young Avenger, a selection of emotions. Oh, I bet you thought we forgot about those scrolls from issue number 1. We haven't. At number 9, we've got Superman Unchained number 2. The technological terrorists called Ascension are growing bolder with every attack, creating problems only Superman can solve. And that's with help from the world's greatest detective, Batman. But the mystery that's really got them both worried is the unknown figure that's been shadowing Superman. And in this issue's backup tale, Jimmy Olsen takes center stage as Metropolis reacts to an event that has shaken the city to its core. At number 10, we've got Avengers Arena number 12, the shocking finale of Game On. Apex squares off in bloody battle against, well, you'll have to see it to believe it. What does Deathlocket see on the very last page that will freak you out? Plus, Arcade makes popcorn to eat while watching the big fight. Oh, what a jerk. For the best of the rest this week from DC Comics, we've got Batgirl number 22. Following the recent massive trauma she suffered, Barbara Gordon tries to move on with her life without Batgirl. We've also got Justice League number 22. Trinity War begins in this full-length epic. Next, we've got Nightwing number 22. Nightwing takes on Ghostwalker, and the prankster finds a surprising ally. And we've got World Finest number 14. Desaad goes in for the kill as Power Girl and Huntress run out of options against a monster from Apocalypse. From Marvel Comics this week, we've got Daredevil number 28. There was one man young Daredevil feared, and now Matt Murdock is representing him in court. We've also got Fearless Defenders number 6, still guest starring most of the heroines in the Marvel Universe. Someone dies, stock up on tissues. We've also got Hawkeye number 12. The sleeper hit of 2012 is now the can't-miss book of 2013, and probably the overhyped book you're sick of people talking about in 2014. Reeling from the events of the last issue, even Hawkeye wants to know what his new status quo is. Who's with him? Who's against him? Who's trying to kill him and why? So many dang questions. And just when Clint's rock bottom couldn't arrive fast enough, then came Barney. We've also got Indestructible Hulk number 10, Blind Rage Part 2, Daredevil guest stars, Hulk vs. Urban Crime. Next we've got Ultimate Comics The Ultimates number 27, Ultimates Disassembled begins. The hunt for the final stone puts the life of an Ultimate at risk, as Reed gets his first glimpse of Ultimate Kang's true motivations. For the world to live, an Ultimate must die, and he's really not happy about that. And we've got Wolverine number 6. Wolverine fights to save Nick Fury and escape from the helicarrier while trapped on the ocean floor. And at the end, Wolverine's world is changed forever. We're not kidding. This is an issue you definitely don't want to miss. From Dark Horse Comics, we've got X number 3 of 4. The vermin of Arcadia's underworld chase Lee into a literal urban maze. And what's waiting at the end ain't cheese. A revived Berkshire gets a beautiful new face and an appetite for revenge, mobilizing the entire police force against X. From Dynamite Entertainment, we've got Kevin Smith's The Bionic Man number 21. After returning home from a rough mission overseas, Steve wants nothing more than a bit of R&R. Little does he know, Carlisle has been scheming to bring an end to the Bionic Man ever since her removal from OSI, and she's in a good position to make it all possible. Steve has faced insurmountable odds in his past, but in order to win this one, he'll have to take his bionics to the next level. From Image Comics, we've got America's Got Powers number 6 of 7. Everyone wants a piece of Tommy Watts, at least the part that can give them superpowers. But if everyone in America is a superhero, will it be a good thing or the worst thing that could ever happen to planet Earth? We've also got Chew number 35 with the solicit simply, Dietary Restrictions. And we've got East of West number 4, The Promise. Flashback to the fallout of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Learn what shocking event tore them apart and the secret that has been hidden ever since. The most exciting new books of the year, East of West continues in The Promise. From Valiant Entertainment, we've got Quantum and Woody number 1. Writer James Asmus and artist Tom Fowler punt the world's worst super team headfirst into the Valiant universe. Once upon a time, Eric and Woody Henderson were inseparable. Adopted brothers, best friends, brilliant minds. Years later, they're estranged siblings, petty rivals, and washed-up failures. But when their father's murder leads them into the throes of a life-altering scientific accident, Eric and Woody will find themselves with a whole new purpose and a perfectly legitimate reason to wear costumes and fight crime. Go big or go home, folks. Quantum and Woody are coming. And the action-packed, zeitgeist-shredding exploitation stunt comic you demanded is here at last. And yes, there'll be a goat, too. Eventually. And we've got X-O Manowar number 15, all new arc, all new jumping on point, X-O Manowar versus the Eternal Warrior. Eric of Dacia returns to Earth after the events of Planet Death, with his mind set on reclaiming the ancestral lands of his people. The code of the 5th century Visigoth is about to clash with the militaries of the modern world, and the only one who may be able to convince Eric to stand down is someone from his past, Gilad Anipada, the Eternal Warrior. Artist Lee Garbett reteams with writer Robert Venditti for a brand new arc that will set the stage for X-O Manowar's next year in the Valiant universe. Out in trades this week, we've got Before Watchmen, Comedian Rorschach hardcover deluxe edition. Writer Brian Azzarello brings his gritty, nuanced storytelling to these two unforgettable characters. Comedian, featuring art by J.G. Jones, plants the famed war hero within the context of modern American history as we discover the role he played in the Vietnam War and the Kennedy assassination. In Rorschach, Azzarello teams with artist Lee Bermejo to show how one of the most dangerous vigilantes the comics world has ever seen became even darker. Collects Before Watchmen Comedian number 1 through 6 and Before Watchmen Rorschach number 1 through 4. We've also got Before Watchmen Night Owl Dr. Manhattan hardcover deluxe edition. Writer J. Michael Straczynski is joined by artist Andy Kubert in flight with the gadget-savvy hero known as Night Owl, as Dan Dreiberg inherits the role from Hollis Mason. But can Dreiberg work with the vigilante called Rorschach? Then JMS teams with fan-favorite artist Adam Hughes for a tale of Dr. Manhattan. For Dr. Manhattan, past, present, and future are one and the same. But as he observes the events of his life, do they remain the same? This volume collects Before Watchmen Night Owl number 1 through 4, Before Watchmen Dr. Manhattan 1 through 4, and Before Watchmen Moloch number 1 and 2. Okay, so that's just a few of my favorite books out this week. There's still plenty of others available. I broke out all the Marvel titles this week in their own video, as well as a separate video of all the DC, and even a video with the top independent publishers. You can find them all on my YouTube channel at he'sgotissues.com. And we'll also have links up on the leagueofnerds.com, our Facebook page, so be sure to like us there too. And of course, you can follow everything I'm reading on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, and Twitter. You can find links to everything in the About section at he'sgotissues.com. And a reminder that both He's Got Issues and the League of Nerds are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. So until next week, I'm John Cooney, and I've got issues.